The Valerian ship, Eternal Light, emerged from hyperspace at the edge of Sol system, its crystalline hull shimmering with the energy of dimensional transit. High Commander Zora Vex stood on the bridge, her bioluminescent patterns pulsing with anticipation. After centuries of searching for new civilizations to uplift into their galactic concordat, they had finally discovered Earth, a promising if primitive world. "Status report," she commanded, her translator converting her thought patterns into audible speech. "Detecting extensive orbital debris, primitive satellite networks, and basic space stations," Science Officer Catal reported, his compound eyes processing multiple data streams simultaneously. "Their technology appears to be Level 3, pre-FTL civilization, still dependent on chemical rockets and fossil fuels." Zara felt a mixture of excitement and pity. Another young race to guide into the stars. The Valerians had been uplifting civilizations for millennia, sharing their advanced technology in exchange for allegiance to the Concordat. Earth would be no different, or so she thought. Their first warning sign came when they tried to cloak their approach. The supposedly primitive human detection systems tracked them perfectly. Then their supposedly superior communications array received a greeting in flawless Valerian. "Welcome to Sol System, High Commander Vex. We've been expecting you." The bridge crew froze. Catal's appendages trembled as he analyzed the transmission. "Impossible. They couldn't possibly know our language, let alone your identity." Zara's bioluminescence flickered with unease. "Source of transmission: a facility on Earth's moon. But the energy readings don't make sense. They're using technology that appears centuries behind us. Yet somehow," Catal's voice trailed off. "Somehow what?" "Somehow they're achieving results that surpass our capabilities. It's as if they're deliberately using inefficient methods to reach advanced outcomes." A new transmission arrived. "We understand your confusion, High Commander. Perhaps a demonstration is in order. Please maintain your position while we send a representative." Before Zara could respond, reality itself seemed to ripple. A human simply appeared on their bridge. No teleporter signature, no energy discharge, just a sudden existence where there had been empty space. The human appeared to be female, dressed in what looked like primitive fabric clothing. She smiled warmly. "I'm Dr. Sarah Chen, Earth's Director of Sinological Relations. I apologize for the dramatic entrance, but we find it helps avoid lengthy explanations." Zara's security team raised their weapons, or tried to. Their advanced, neural-linked combat suits refused to respond. "Please, there's no need for violence," Dr. Chen said, casually walking around the bridge as if touring a museum. "Your technology is quite impressive, though rather narrow in its approach. You've achieved remarkable things by following a linear path of development, but there are so many other ways to manipulate reality." Kittle found his voice first. "What are you?" "We're human. Just older than you might have expected. You see, High Commander, humanity didn't recently discover space travel. We discovered it millions of years ago, built empires, fought wars that made stars go dark, wielded power that nearly destroyed us. And then we learned something profound. The most advanced civilization isn't the one with the most powerful technology. It's the one wise enough to know when not to use it." The human gestured, and suddenly the bridge's view screen showed impossible things. Vast structures hidden in dimensional pockets throughout the solar system, technological marvels that defied comprehension, and historical records dating back millions of years. "Earth isn't a primitive world awaiting uplift, High Commander. It's a preserve, a reminder of where we came from. Those fossil fuels you detected, we keep them running to remember the cost of reckless advancement. Those chemical rockets, they teach our children humility and patience. Every piece of primitive technology serves a purpose in our development program." Zara's translator struggled to convert her next thought into speech. "Development program. For ourselves and others. We've been guiding younger civilizations for millions of years, helping them avoid our mistakes. Those civilizations you've been uplifting. We've been quietly guiding their development since before your species achieved sentience. The real question is, why reveal ourselves now? The view screen shifted again, showing something that made even Dr. Chen's calm demeanor falter. A darkness spreading between the stars, consuming light itself. Something is awakening, High Commander. Something we fought eons ago. Something that requires us to stop hiding and start preparing the galaxy's younger races for what's coming. Your Concordat is about to face a threat it can't imagine, let alone fight. You're going to need our help. Why should we trust you? Zora demanded, her bioluminescence now pulsing with a mixture of fear and anger. You've been manipulating us, lying to us. No, Dr. Chen interrupted gently. We've been protecting you. There's a difference. When your scientists made that breakthrough in quantum field theory 50 years ago, that wasn't an accident. When your civilization narrowly avoided collapse during the Great Plague, those miraculous medical discoveries weren't coincidence. We've been there, guiding, suggesting, protecting. The only difference now is that we're telling you about it. The human turned to face the view screen, where the darkness continued to spread. The question isn't whether you'll accept our help, High Commander. The question is whether the galaxy will be ready when that darkness reaches us, because this time, humanity can't fight it alone. As if to punctuate her words, new readings appeared on every screen. Energy signatures unlike anything in Valerian records, spreading out from Earth in all directions. Hidden defenses, older than Valerian civilization itself, awakening from ancient slumber. The truth about humanity was becoming clear, and Zara realized with growing certainty that the galaxy would never be the same. They had fought themselves the uplifters, the advanced civilization reaching down to help primitive species. They had never imagined they might be the primitive ones. The news spread through the Concordat like a shockwave. Humanity, the supposedly primitive species, were the ancestors of all. In the weeks following the revelation, Dr. Chen found herself addressing the Galactic Council, a gathering of representatives from over 1,000 civilizations. The council chamber on Nexus Prime fell silent as she approached the central platform. Unlike the other delegates with their ornate ceremonial garments and technological displays, she wore simple clothing, a reminder of humanity's deliberate choice to embrace simplicity. You claim to be our predecessors. First Speaker Xanthor's voice resonated through the chamber, yet provide no proof beyond technological demonstrations that could be mere trickery. Dr. Chen smiled. With a subtle gesture, the chamber's sophisticated holographic systems activated, not through their normal protocols, but through means that made the technology itself seem to sing. The space above them transformed into a vast stellar map. Watch, she said simply. The map began to play back through time. Civilizations rose and fell. Stars lived and died. And through it all, human influence could be seen. Subtle guidances, invisible interventions, countless small changes that shaped the development of every species present. 3 million years ago, when the Arcturians faced extinction from their dying sun, who do you think gave their scientists the inspiration for solar manipulation? 2 million years ago, during the first plague that nearly wiped out the Zethkla, where did the cure really come from? She gestured again, and the images shifted to show specific moments, seemingly random accidents and coincidences that had shaped history. We were there, always watching, always helping, but never controlling. That was our greatest lesson. The power to shape reality means nothing without the wisdom to know when not to use it. The chamber erupted in chaos as species after species recognized moments from their own histories. But before the outcry could build, alarms began blaring throughout the station. The darkness they had detected was moving faster than expected. We don't have time for debates about the past. Dr. Chen's voice cut through the chaos. The void is awakening. We fought it before. In the time before we learned wisdom, our victory cost us everything, forced us to rebuild from the ground up, to learn humility, to understand that pure power isn't the answer. The station's sensors registered something impossible. Entire star systems going dark, their light and energy simply ceasing to exist. The void was feeding, growing stronger with each consumed world. This is why we maintained the masquerade, she continued. Why we kept our true capabilities hidden. Power without wisdom destroyed us once. We won't let it destroy you. High Commander Vex, now serving as the Concordats' military advisor, stepped forward. Then give us your weapons. Share your technology. Help us fight. No. The word echoed through the chamber with finality. We won't repeat past mistakes. What we offer instead is understanding. Knowledge earned, not given. Wisdom learned, not downloaded. As if to demonstrate, Dr. Chen raised her hand. Above them, a small portion of space seemed to fold in on itself, creating a window into another dimension. Through it, they could see vast structures, training grounds, and learning centers, hidden in fold space throughout the galaxy. We've prepared for this moment for millions of years. In these facilities, we will teach you what we learned. Not just how to fight the void, but why some battles can't be won through force alone. You'll learn why we choose to maintain primitive technology alongside our most advanced innovations, why true power lies in knowing when not to use it. The darkness consuming distant stars grew closer. The council members watched in horror as entire civilizations went silent. But around Earth and its allied worlds, something else was happening. The subtle manipulations humanity had woven into the fabric of space-time over millions of years were beginning to activate. Your societies have been unconsciously preparing for this moment since before you discovered fire, Dr. Chen explained. Every piece of technology you developed under our guidance was designed with dual purpose, to serve your immediate needs while laying groundwork for what's coming. Even your most basic devices contain patterns that, when activated properly, become something far more profound. To demonstrate, she touched a simple communicator worn by one of the council members. The seemingly primitive device transformed, its hidden patterns awakening to reveal capabilities that defied comprehension. Similar transformations began occurring throughout Concordat space as humanity's ancient preparations finally bore fruit. This is your awakening, Dr. Chen announced. Not to become what we once were. That path leads only to destruction. Instead, you'll become something new, something better. The next generation of guardians, taught by the mistakes of your elders. The chamber's displays showed more of the hidden training facilities activating throughout the galaxy. In each one, human instructors emerged from their cover identities. Scientists, merchants, mystics, and scholars who had been quietly guiding civilization for millennia. The question isn't whether humanity will share its power, she concluded. The question is whether you're ready to learn why we chose to hide it. Because the void isn't just coming to destroy, it's coming to tempt. And our greatest challenge won't be fighting its darkness. It will be resisting the urge to become what we once were in order to defeat it. As if in answer, the darkness reached another star system. But this time, something was different. The planets there didn't go dark. Instead, they began to shine with a light that had nothing to do with technology or power, the light of wisdom, passed down through generations of subtle guidance, finally awakening to its true purpose. The archaeological team stood frozen in the ruins of what had once been designated Site 731, deep within the Andromeda Galaxy. Dr. Lyra Naveen, the Concordat's leading xenorchaeologist, stared at readings that defied everything she thought she knew about galactic history. The ruins weren't just old, they predated known civilization by millions of years. And they were unmistakably human in origin. This cannot be correct, her assistant Kavor muttered, recalibrating his instruments for the 7th time. The dating remained consistent. The site was over 15 million years old. But it wasn't the age that disturbed them most. It was the technology. Beneath layers of ancient dust lay devices that seemed to operate on principles their most advanced scientists couldn't comprehend. Yet scattered among these marvels were tools of breathtaking simplicity. Mechanical computers, analog devices, and handcrafted implements that seemed deliberately primitive. A hologram flickered to life beside them. Dr. Chen, appearing as if she'd been waiting for this moment. "You've found one of our old learning centers," she said softly. "One of thousands we established across the galaxies. These ruins," Lyra gestured at the vast complex stretching for kilometers in every direction. "They're not just research facilities, are they? No, they're reminders, museums of our greatest triumphs and most terrible mistakes." Dr. Chen walked through the ruins, her hologram interacting with ancient machinery that hummed to life at her touch. "This was where we first learned to fold space, where we discovered how to manipulate the fundamental forces of reality, and where we nearly destroyed everything in our hubris." The facility's ancient systems activated, projecting images of humanity's past, vast fleets that could extinguish suns, cities that spanned galaxies, and powers that bordered on godlike. But alongside these displays of supremacy were scenes of devastating wars, collapsed civilizations, and catastrophic mistakes. "We thought power was progress," Dr. Chen continued. "We built weapons that could unmake reality, ships that could outrace time itself, computers that could simulate entire universes. We became as gods, and like gods, we fought among ourselves." The projections showed the devastating consequences. Entire galaxies reduced to cosmic dust, space-time itself wounded by weapons of unimaginable power. And then something else. The first appearance of the void. "It came from between realities," Dr. Chen explained. "Drawn by our conflicts, fed by our arrogance, we fought it with everything we had, unleashing powers that should never have been wielded. We won, but the cost." She gestured at the ruins around them. "We had to start over, learn humility, understand that the greatest power isn't in what you can do, but in what you choose not to do." Across the galaxy, other archaeological teams were making similar discoveries. Each site told the same story. A civilization that had reached the pinnacle of technological achievement, only to deliberately step back from that precipice. In the Carina Nebula, they found vast shipyards where humanity had once built vessels that could traverse galaxies in moments. Now they served as preserves for primitive spacecraft, teaching grounds where younger races could learn the value of slow, steady progress. The Horsehead Nebula revealed libraries containing knowledge that could revolutionize physics overnight, kept sealed not by advanced security systems, but by simple mechanical puzzles that required wisdom to solve rather than technology to bypass. Your civilization, Lyra realized, studying patterns that appeared in site after site. You didn't just hide your power. You've been using it all along, haven't you? Every primitive technology we developed, every scientific breakthrough we celebrated, were steps on a path we laid out millions of years ago, Dr. Chen confirmed. Not to control you, but to guide you toward understanding what we learned too late. True advancement isn't about accumulating power. It's about understanding when not to use it. The void's expansion had reached the outer arms of the galaxy now. But as it approached worlds seeded with humanity's hidden wisdom, something extraordinary happened. The darkness couldn't simply consume these planets. The subtle patterns humanity had woven into their development over millions of years created a resistance the void had never encountered. "This is why we waited," Dr. Chen explained as they watched the void recoil from its first failed attempt at consumption. "Why we didn't simply give you our technology. Power given is power misunderstood, but wisdom earned." She gestured at the ancient learning center around them, where simple mechanical devices contain profound truths about the nature of reality. That becomes part of who you are. In orbit above them, the Concordats' supposedly primitive fleet was transforming. Ships built using plans subtly influenced by human guidance over centuries revealed their true nature. But they weren't becoming weapons of mass destruction. Instead, they transformed into something new. Vessels powered not by raw energy, but by the accumulated wisdom of countless generations. "The void feeds on power," Dr. Chen said, watching the transformation. "But it has no defense against understanding, against the kind of strength that knows when not to strike. This was always the plan. not to make you powerful enough to fight it, but wise enough to transcend it. As if to demonstrate, she pointed to a simple mechanical calculator in the ruins. Under closer inspection, its gears and levers contained patterns that echoed through reality itself, teaching tools that had shaped the development of every civilization in the galaxy, preparing them for this moment. The void struck Earth first, perhaps sensing the true nature of its ancient enemy. The attack came not as a wave of darkness, but as temptation incarnate. Admiral James Chen, Sarah's brother and Earth's defense coordinator, watched as the void offered humanity everything they'd once possessed: godlike power, absolute control over reality, the ability to reshape existence at will. The kind of power they'd spent millions of years learning to live without. How many? He asked the AI construct monitoring global responses. 17% of the population shows signs of influence, it reported. The void's offer is compelling, especially to those who don't understand why we chose limitation. Around Earth, humanity's hidden defenses activated, not weapons, but teaching tools. In every home, school, and workplace, the seemingly primitive technology they'd maintained for millennia revealed its true purpose. Simple mechanical devices became conduits for profound understanding. Basic electrical systems transformed into networks of shared wisdom. The void's promise of power met something it couldn't comprehend: the strength to refuse it. Across the galaxy, the younger races watched in awe as humanity faced its greatest test. The Concordat fleet, now transformed by awakened knowledge, held position around key systems. But this wasn't their battle. Not yet. First, humanity had to demonstrate why they'd chosen their path. In orbit above Earth, the void manifested as a swirling mass of infinite potential. Its voice echoed in every human mind. Why maintain this pretense? Take back what is yours. Become what you were meant to be. Admiral Chen's response came not through advanced technology, but through an ancient mechanical telegraph system maintained in every major city. Its clicking sounds carried something the void couldn't corrupt: the simple truth of why humanity had chosen limitation. The message spread from Earth outward, carried by devices so basic the void couldn't interfere with them. Each click, each primitive transmission, contained patterns of understanding developed over millions of years. The message wasn't a weapon or a defense, it was a lesson. We remember what we were, Chen transmitted. We remember what it cost. We choose what we are. The void recoiled as humanity's choice rippled through space-time. Every piece of simple technology on Earth pulsed with accumulated wisdom, forming a network of understanding that the void couldn't breach. Power it could fight. Power it could corrupt. But this willing embrace of limitation, this conscious choice to remain less than what they could be, this was alien to it. In the Concordat ships watching Earth, younger races finally understood. The primitive technology humanity maintained wasn't a mask or a deception. It was a choice, a reminder, a teaching tool that had been preparing them for this moment since their first ancestors looked up at the stars. The void offers what we once had. Admiral Chen's message continued, transmitted through increasingly complex systems, as humanity demonstrated why each level of technology needed wisdom to guide it. It offers what we spent millions of years learning to live without. But power without understanding destroys. Strength without wisdom corrupts. We choose differently. As if to demonstrate, humanity began activating their hidden reserves, not of weapons or energy, but of knowledge. The seemingly primitive computers in every home revealed their true nature, not by becoming more powerful, but by teaching their users why power alone was never the answer. The void's attack faltered as it encountered something it had never faced in all its existence: a civilization powerful enough to destroy it, choosing not to. A species that could unmake reality, deciding instead to preserve it. Strength expressed not through dominance, but through voluntary limitation. But the void wasn't finished. As it recoiled from Earth, it turned its attention to the younger races. If it couldn't corrupt humanity with the offer of lost power, Perhaps their students would prove more susceptible. Admiral Chen watched the darkness spread toward Concordat space, where billions of beings faced their own test. Would the subtle lessons humanity had woven into their development prove enough? Would they understand why their mentors had hidden in plain sight, teaching not through displays of power, but through carefully crafted limitations? The answer would determine not just the fate of the galaxy, but the very nature of civilization itself. As the void approached the first Concordat worlds, humanity's greatest test began, not of their power to fight, but of their ability to teach others why sometimes the greatest power lies in choosing not to use it at all. The final battle for the galaxy took place in silence. No weapons were fired, no fleets clashed. Instead, trillions of beings faced a simple choice. The void had reached the heart of Concordat space, offering each civilization the power they'd always dreamed of. It showed them visions of what they could become, gods among the stars, masters of reality, beings of pure energy and infinite potential. But something was different. The subtle lessons humanity had woven into their development over millions of years began to surface. In every ship, on every world, beings of all species looked at the power being offered and recognized the trap. They'd been taught this lesson through every step of their technological development, through every seemingly primitive device that humans had helped them create. Dr. Sarah Chen stood on the Concordat's central command station, watching as civilization after civilization made their choice. The Arcturians, offered the power to control entire star clusters, chose instead to maintain their simple fusion drives. The Zethkla, tempted with biological perfection, embraced their limitations. Each race, in its own way, recognized the wisdom in restraint. The void reeled, confronting something it had never encountered. Not just one species, but an entire galaxy choosing to be less than they could be. Its darkness began to fracture, creating gaps through which the light of understanding shone. Now, Dr. Chen transmitted to every world, every ship, every being in range. Show it what we've learned together. Across the galaxy, technology transformed, not into weapons, but into teaching tools. The seemingly primitive devices humanity had helped develop revealed their true nature. Mechanical computers became conduits for cosmic understanding. Simple radio transmitters carried waves of accumulated wisdom. Even the most basic technologies contained patterns that resonated with fundamental truths about power, choice, and responsibility. The void tried to adapt, to tempt, to corrupt. But it found no purchase in a civilization that understood why limitless power was a curse rather than a blessing. Every offered temptation met the quiet strength of beings who had learned, through countless small lessons embedded in their daily lives, the value of choosing not to dominate. Admiral Chen directed Earth's response from a command center filled not with advanced weaponry, but with tools so simple they seemed absurd in this moment of crisis. Yet each device, from telegraphs to analog computers, demonstrated a crucial truth. Progress wasn't about accumulating power, but about understanding when not to use it. The void's darkness began to dissolve, not destroyed by force, but transformed by understanding. Where it had expected to find civilizations it could corrupt with promises of power, it found species that had been carefully taught the wisdom of limitation. Its very nature, the temptation of unlimited power, became its undoing as it faced beings who had learned to want something more valuable than mere ability. As the darkness receded, the galaxy entered a new era. The younger races took their place alongside humanity, not as servants or students, but as fellow guardians of a profound truth. The hidden training centers scattered across space became open universities where future generations would learn not just how to wield power, but why they shouldn't. The simple technologies humanity had maintained for so long remained, no longer as disguises, but as teaching tools. Each primitive device, each basic machine, contained lessons about the relationship between power and wisdom. The galaxy's civilizations continued to advance, but now with full understanding of why they kept certain technologies simple, why they chose not to pursue certain powers. Dr. Chen stood with the Concordat Council one final time, watching as the last traces of the void faded from reality. What now? First speaker Xanthor asked. With the threat gone, will humanity reclaim its full power? She smiled, gesturing to the simple mechanical computer on her wrist, a device that could have been replaced by something millions of times more powerful. We already have all the power we need. The wisdom to choose limitation over dominance, understanding over ability, restraint over control. That is true power. And now it's your turn to help us guard it. Across the galaxy, ships that could have been weapons of unimaginable destruction remained simple vessels of exploration. Cities that could have touched the stars stayed grounded in humble efficiency, and a civilization that had once nearly destroyed reality with its power continued teaching others the hardest lesson they'd ever learned. That true strength lies not in what you can do, but in what you choose not to do. The age of hidden guardians was over. The age of shared wisdom had begun.